Chris Sewall here, baseball card collector, investor, dealer, in that order. Welcome everyone. Today we're going to look at some unique collections from around the hobby. You all sent me about 50 different collections to check out. Thank you for that. A lot of awesome ones. I'm going to use it to make maybe 2 or 3 videos here highlighting around 5 collections or so each time. So a lot of great ones I won't even be able to show, but really appreciate everyone in sending in. They were a lot of fun to go through. This will be the first of the videos, and like I said, going to look at 5 collections here. And the requirements were that it had to be a collection you couldn't just sort of go out and buy, but it clearly, took a lot of care to put together and piece together over time. All right, first collection to show you was sent in by Karlirood, and I'm just going to read Carlisle's email. I don't think my set is especially unique, certainly not in Atlanta, but my collection didn't have this focus until I began doing something very unique, designing and building a custom website to manage my collection. It doesn't include every card in my collection by a long shot, but it does capture what I'm actively organizing and collecting at the moment. Every week it grows, even if my collection does not. It began when I started picking up duplicates at local card shows, so it was just a set of checklists at first. I could pull them up from my phone, and I stopped wasting money on cards I didn't need. But then I noticed I was missing opportunities to upgrade my collection. I'd see a great card but would skip over bargains because I thought my copy was better. But when I'd get home, I'd see my card wasn't nearly as nice as I remembered, so I started scanning my cards and adding them to the website. I'd build composite images of the front and back, so I'd only have to pull up one image to compare at shows. Then I learned I was poor and I couldn't afford to complete every vintage top set ever produced, so I decided to focus only on the Braves. For efficiency, I began making composite images of the team set so I could glance at a picture and see immediately which cards I already had and which were missing. The more the image filled out, the more motivated I became to complete a set. I even started creating checklists for team sets I hadn't started yet. This was really fun because I got to enjoy cards that I didn't have yet. And I would have to, scavenge the internet for images of cards owned by others. It also allowed me to explore and educate myself about sets I wasn't familiar with. The groupings are arbitrary and they evolved organically. First there were just complete sets and team sets, but when I noticed I had nearly an entire player run, I began breaking that out into its own grouping as well. When the player lists began to get too long, I started breaking them out further into active and retired players, and when I discovered I was buying a lot more, Freddie Freeman cards than others, I created groupings explicitly for him. I did whatever I needed to do to make it easier to find a card I was interested in. And along the way, I've been writing software to allow me to spend less and less time building and maintaining the website. For example, I've written a tool that will inspect a folder of images, guess what the cards are, and create a checklist for me. I've written a tool to clean up scanned images that have already been processed. I've written a tool to associate images with card descriptions and details. These are tiny, efficient programs that do specific tasks for me so I can spend more time enjoying my cards rather than maintaining a website. Eventually I can see this evolving into an application that allows me to simply drop images into folders and walk away. The process has made my collection more focused, cohesive, economical, and fun. All right, next one is from Travis Cobb, and again I'm just going to read his story from the email he wrote to me. While I do occasionally still collect sports cards, I've also been drawn to entertainment and pop culture trading cards, especially Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, because the actors have signed cards in the sets. Game of Thrones is probably my favorite show ever, and when I discovered that Rittenhouse produced a set for each season and that the actors signed, I was all in. I came into it late, maybe around season 3 or 4, but immediately started buying boxes and seeking out autographs on eBay. Over the years, probably 6 or 7 years now, I've been able to amass nearly every actor who signed across all seasons of the show. So far, my collection sits at 231 cards, and after referencing the checklists, I'm only 10 cards short of collecting every signed actor across every set produced. Unfortunately, some of the actors who I'm missing only signed in 2 or 3 of the sets out of the 12 or 13, and their card ranges from several $100s for a Kit Harington to several thousand for an Amelia Clark. Unfortunately, I saved the most expensive and sought-after cards for last, but I truly love the series and do hope to one day be able to check every actor off my list. Next collection to show you is from Mike Lawrence, and again I'll read his story from the email he wrote to me. I was born and raised in Oakland, California, and still to this day, no baseball player was ever as fun to watch as Rickey Henderson. I was there in the stands on May 1st, 1991, when he broke Lou Brock's stolen base record, and I was also there when the Oakland A's retired his jersey. To me, Rickey was unlike any other player I'd ever seen before. He was truly one of a kind. Sure, he was cocky, unique, incredibly talented, and would torment opposing pitchers, but simply put, Rickey was fun to watch. He's the perfect player for me to collect, so I sought out to have a unique Rickey Henderson collection. His iconic 1980 Topps rookie card is my favorite baseball card ever made. I knew that I could never afford this card in a PSA or an SGC 10 or even in SGC 9.5, but I thought to myself, what if I could get this card in every other grade instead? So I sought out to get Rickey's iconic rookie card in every possible grade to make a run. What better run to get than the guy who ran better than anyone ever in baseball? Oddly enough, the lower grades are incredibly hard to obtain, likely because no one wants to spend grading fees for cards in rough shape, and with over 25,000 of these cards graded by PSA, PSA has an incredibly low pop count on PSA 1s. For example, there's only 25 Gem Mint 10s in existence of the card, and yet there's even fewer PSA 1s, with only 22 in existence. There are also no PSA 1.5s of this card at all, none at all. So I actually wanted to go with SGC for the run because their grading fees are lower, they're consistent, and frankly this card looks fantastic and even better in the tuxedo slab. So I would check card shows and online listings and frequently to fill in the gaps of this run. The SGC pop count for a low-grade SGC 1 is only a pop 4, including the one I have. I was able to get this one from a user on Facebook. I was also talking to the same Facebook collector making a similar run, and he spent over a year trying to get or find an SGC 2. That grade 2 had a very low pop count of only 7 cards at the time, but in January I got extremely lucky and found on eBay someone selling an SGC 2, and that left me with only the elusive SGC 1.5 to find to complete my run. I had never seen one for sale, and with a pop count at the time of only 4, I knew it wasn't going to be easy. So in early February, I ditched the hunt, sent in 2 beat-up Rickey Henderson rookies to SGC for grading, crossed my fingers, and as luck would have it, one of them came back in SGC 1.5, and it completed my run. I'm pretty sure there is not another run like this in existence, so the attached is a picture of my completed Rickey run collection. Next collection is from Shane Hepner, a collection of the greatest of all time players in other than the big 4 sports. These were his picks, for who are the GOATs in other sports, and cards, a lot of collectors sort of don't really think of. Some sports he said have more than one GOAT. He just couldn't pick one, so in those cases he got cards of each GOAT. These cards are for the most part first-year cards or rookie-year cards, not all of them, but the vast majority of them, and a very, very cool collection. I love stuff like this personally. He's got a 1936 Jesse Owens, all-time great track and field. Don Bradman from the 30s in cricket. Carl Lewis track and field, that card's from the 80s. Mike Tyson in boxing, 1987. Walter Ray Williams for bowling. I've never even seen that card. Tony Hawk, skateboarding, of course, Sports Illustrated for kids. Michael Schumacher, Formula 1. That's a 1992 Grid Formula 1. Mia Hamm in women's soccer. That's a 1992 SI for kids. Stunning Steve Austin for WCW. Travis Pastrana in motocross biking. Cristiano Ronaldo in soccer. Roger Federer in tennis. Serena Williams, also tennis. Diana Taurasi in women's basketball. A couple of NASCAR racers, Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, and Jimmy Johnson. Shaun White, Sports Illustrated for kid in snowboarding. Jenny Finch in women's softball. Michael Phelps in swimming. Simone Biles in women's gymnastics. Floyd Mayweather in boxing. Garrett McNamara in big wave surfing. Richie McCaw in rugby. Jack Nicklaus in golf. And Annika Sorenstam also in golf. Very cool idea for a collection and certainly unique. Not a collection I've ever seen before. All right, and the last collection to show you in this video is from Ben, and again I'm going to read his story from the email he wrote me. I collect Minnesota Twins autograph cards. I have an autograph from every single player to appear in a game for them since 1961, their first season in Minnesota. As of 2021, it is just over 900 players. I'm a lifelong Twins fan, and I put it together over the course of the last 25 years. I started as a kid in the late 90s, at first just as a fun thing to do, bringing my cards to get signed before games, but it gradually turned into an obsession, and in 2015 I got the idea to try to get every single player. I had to track down some miscellaneous recent guys I had missed when they played here, but the trickiest part was finding obscure autographs from the 60s and 70s, a few being extremely rare. I have a lot of stories, but here are 3 names for you: Herman Hill, Jim Manning, and Don Williams. They barely had cups of coffee in the major leagues, but it took more time and money to find their autographs than any other player. Hill died in 1970, and his autographs are very hard to come by. I found his signature on a scrap of an old contract. Manning only died recently, but was a notorious non-signer for decades. I got his autograph from a savvy collector who had sent him a piece of certified mail, which forced him to sign the mail receipt. Williams, who died in 1991, was the very last one I got to complete the collection. His autograph is incredibly rare due to his common name, short career, and the fact that a different Don Williams played in the majors at the same time. I thought I would never find one, but I finally tracked down one of his family members who very generously sent me a signed team ball that had his autograph on it. This was to me the most fun part of the project. Everybody knows about Killebrew, Karoo, and Puckett, but researching and learning about the long-forgotten players was an unexpected reward. So that's it. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed these 5 collections from around the hobby. Truly unique and cool stuff. I think this is sort of become my favorite series on the channel. Getting to experience some collections like this that were clearly labors of love and from true collectors. I find that very, very satisfying. But anyway, hope you enjoyed. As I mentioned, I'll definitely do at least 1 more of these in the next couple of weeks, maybe 2 more. I haven't completely got finished getting organized on it all yet, but still definitely at least another video to come. Thank you again, everyone, for submitting, whether I ended up using your listing for a video or not. Really fun to go through them all. But appreciate it, and see you all again real soon. Thanks, everyone.